Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting episode of Timeless Tale at Down. Today I'll be telling you the tale of the wise weaver and the greedy merchant. Well, before I continue, grab your popcorn, a bottle of water or soda, whatever you want to enjoy the tale with, and let's hit the long ride. Once upon a time, in a bustling village, settled between Vandant Hill and a sparkling river, there lived a humble weaver named Aya. Aya was known far and wide for her extraordinary skill in weaving the finest fabrics. Her loom was her pride, and each day she would spin threads of vibrant colors that glowed in the sunlight, reflecting hues of the rainbow. Aya's work was so exceptional that the villagers often said her cloth was touched by the gods themselves. But despite her talent, Aya remained modest and kind. She lived in a small cottage at the edge of the village, surrounded by a garden that bloomed with white flowers in every season. She was often seen sharing her wisdom with the villagers, teaching the young people how to spin and weave, or offering advice to those in need. Aya believed that the fabric she wove was not just for adornment, but also carried a deeper meaning, a connection to the world around her, to nature, and to the community she cherished. In the same village, there lived a wealthy merchant named Baran. Baran was a man of great ambition. He owned plenty lands, controlled trade routes, and had a fleet of caravans that transported goods to distant cities. But however, despite his wealth, Baran was driven by an insatiable greed. He always sought for more gold, more land, and more power, more of everything. He wanted it all. His heart was as cold as the coins he coveted, and he cared little for anything that did not add to his fortune. One day, as Baran strolled through the village market, he overheard some villagers speaking in hushed tones about Aya's latest creation, a fabric so exquisite that it was said to be finer than silk and softer than the clouds. Intrigued, Baran decided to visit Aya's cottage, hoping to strike a deal that would make him even more richer. As he approached Aya's home, he was greeted by the sight of her garden, where butterflies danced among the flowers and birds sang sweet melodies. The tranquility of the place was a stark contrast to the glamour of Baran's world. He found Aya sitting in her loom, her hands moving gracefully as she wove a new pattern into the clothes. "Good day, weaver," Baran said with a sly smile. "I have heard so much about your skill and the beauty of your fabrics. I wish to purchase all that you are woven." Aya looked up from her work, her eyes calm and wise. "Good day to you, Baran. I appreciate your interest, but my cloth is not for sale in bulk. It is made with love and care, and I prefer to share it with those who need it, not to those who seek to hoard it." Baran, encouraged, continued, "However, you misunderstand me. I am not here to hold good over your work. I am offering you a chance to live in comfort. I will pay you handsomely, and you will never have to work another day in your life. Imagine, Aya, a life without the toil of the loom, without the struggle." Aya's smile was gentle, but there was a firmness in her voice as she replied, "Baran, I do not weave for wealth. My work brings me joy and serves a purpose greater than gold. I see the threads as the ties that bind us to each other and to the earth. They carry stories, memories, and the essence of life itself." Baran was growing impatient. He leaned forward. "Think of what you could do with the wealth I offer. You could live in luxury, have servants attend to your every need, and enjoy the finest thing the world has to offer." Aya shook her head softly. "There is more to life than ease and luxury, Baran." But if you truly wish to strike a deal, I will give you my finest fabric, but on one condition. Before I continue, I want to thank you all for following my stories. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do by clicking that tiny subscribe button. It helps me bring you more interesting tales like this one, and it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything for it. And to all my returning subscribers, I appreciate your support so much. You mean the whole world to me. I love you to the moon and back. Okay, back to the story. Curious and eager to make profits, Baron agreed without hesitation. Name your condition and it shall be done. Anya paused, her gaze steady. For every yard of fabric you sell, you must plant a tree in the village square. And not just any tree, but a fruit-bearing tree that will provide sustenance to the people and shelter to the creatures of the forest. Baron frowned. A tree? What does that have to do with fabrics or wealth? Anya's expression softened as she explained. The fabric of life is woven with care. Just like my clothes, each thread supports the other, creating something beautiful and strong. By planting trees, you will ensure that our village thrives, and the people who buy your fabric will remember the good you have done. Wealth is fleeting, Baron, but the goodwill of others lasts a lifetime. Baron, thought reluctant, was too tempted by the potential profits to argue further. He agreed to Anya's terms, thinking to himself that planting a few trees was a small price to pay for the riches he would gain. The next morning, Baron took the fabric and set out on his journey to the grand cities. Along the way, he marveled at the quality of Anya's work. The fabric caught the light in a way that made it seem alive, with patterns that shifted like the wind through the trees. When he arrived at the cities, merchants and nobles alike were captivated by the clothes, and Barry sold all at a price far beyond his wildest imaginations. But true to his word, Barry returned to the village and thought grudgingly, began planting trees in the squares. Each day, he would plant a new sapling, watching as the villagers observed his actions with curiosity and surprise. Some began to approach him, asking why a man of his wealth would take the time to plant trees. Baron at first had no answer, for he was doing it out of obligation, not understanding. But as the months passed, the trees began to grow, their roots digging deep into the earth, their branches reaching for the sky. The village square, once a barren place, started to transform. Children played in the shades of the young trees, and birds built nests in their branches. The villagers gathered in the square more often, bringing life and laughter to the place that had once been empty and forgotten. Baron, who visited the square each day to check on the trees, began to notice something strange happening within himself. He felt a sense of pride in seeing the trees flourish, a satisfaction that was different from the cold pleasure of counting his coins. He started to realize that the trees were not just fulfilling his obligation to Anya, but were also creating something lasting and meaningful. One day, as Baron was planting the last seedling, an old woman approached him. She was one of the elders of the village, a woman who had seen many seasons come and go. Baron, she said, her voice kind but firm, I've watched you plant these trees, and I see that they are changing you. Tell me, what have you learned? Baron paused, the shovel in his hands resting on the earth. He looked around at the square, now filled with life and beauty. I've learned, he began slowly, that wealth is not just measured in gold and silver. These trees, they give something that money cannot buy. They give life, joy, and a sense of community. I used to think only to myself and my wealth, but now I see there is greater value in what we leave behind for others. The old woman nodded, a smile spreading across her withered face. You have learned well, Baron. These trees will stand long after we are gone, a testament to the power of giving rather than taking. Baron, Now humble and changed by his experience, began to involve himself more in the life of the village. He helped to organize festivals in the square where the villagers would come together to celebrate the harvest. He shared stories and enjoyed the fruits of the trees he had planted. He became a respected figure in the village, and not for his wealth, but for the generosity and care he showed to his community. As the years passed, the trees grew taller and stronger, their branches heavy with fruit. The village square became the heart of the community, a place where people of all ages gathered to enjoy the shade, the laughter, and the sense of togetherness that the trees had brought. Aya continued to weave her fabrics, content in the knowledge that her work had not only brought beauty to the world, but had also planted the seeds of change in a once greedy man's heart. And so, the tale of the wise weaver and the greedy merchant was told and retold to the village, passed down from one generation to the next. It became a story of how the smallest action, like planting a tree or weaving a thread, could create a legacy that will last for generations. It taught the villagers that true wealth was not in the accumulation of riches, but in the bonds of community, the beauty of nature, and the joy of giving. The extended love of the wise weaver and the greedy merchant deepened the lesson that true wealth is not measured by material possessions, but by the positive impacts we have on others and our environment. It reminds us that acts of kindness, generosity, and care for our community and the earth create a legacy that outlasts any amount of gold or silver. By nurturing the world around us, we enrich our own lives and those of future generations. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed the story, please make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more interesting tales. I truly appreciate your support, and I can't wait to share more stories with you. Until next time, love you.